guess who's back? Bubba G. And Bubba G is teaching Bible basics for all those who want to know, but especially those 10 and under, because you need to learn. In the last video, we were looking at Gideon. Yes, Gideon. God said, Gideon, I'm going to use you. Gideon's like, who, me? Nobody. God said, yes, you will lead the people. So what happened? In the last video, we saw Gideon to burn down the altars of Baal and Asheroth. And the people were upset. Remember? But his dad was like, let Baal fight for Baal. Are you defending him? These people were defending foreign gods. Can you believe it? But God was merciful. He raised up leaders. Every time he raised up a leader, they had the victory. But these people are too much. So let's go back and look at Judges 6:33. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the desert tribes assembled, crossed the Jordan River, and camped in Jezreel Valley. The Spirit of the Lord took control of Gideon, and he blew a trumpet to call the men of the clan of Abiezer to follow him. He sent messengers through the territory of both parts of Manasseh to call them to follow him. He sent messengers to the tribes of Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, and they also came to join him. Verse 36, then Gideon said to God, you say that you have decided to use me to rescue Israel. Well, I am putting some wool on the ground where we thresh the wheat. If in the morning there is dew only on the wood but not on the ground, then I will know that you are going to use me to rescue Israel. This is exactly what happened. When Gideon got up early the next morning, he squeezed the wool and wrung enough dew out of it to fill a bowl with water. Then Gideon said to God, don't be angry with me, God. Let me speak just once more. Please let me make one more test with the wool. This time, let the wool be dry and the ground be wet. That night, God did that very thing. The next morning, the wool was dry, but the ground was wet with dew. So what do we see here? God is telling Gideon, Gideon, I'm going to use you. But Gideon doesn't believe it. He keeps testing God. God, do this. God, do that. Did you really with me, God? If you told me to go, you sure? You sure? I don't know. I can't do it. God said, he's okay. God, we're going to do some tests. If you do these tests, if it happens like this, if I ask you to, if I tell you do this, you do it, then you with us. If it don't happen, I'm out of here. But God did what he said. He did the wool test, the wool happened. He did that, that happened. God said, you, Gideon, you. Gideon's like, I don't know. Let's go to chapter 7. Gideon defeats the Midianites. One day, Gideon and all his men got up early and camped beside Herod's spring. The Midianite camp was in the valley to the north of them by Morah Hill. The Lord said to Gideon, the men you have are too many for me to give them victory over the Midianites. They might think that they have won by themselves. So give me no credit. Announce to the people, anyone who is afraid should go back home. And we will stay here at Mount Gilead. So 20,000 men went back. Wow. But 10,000 stayed. Then the Lord said to Gideon, you still have too many men. Take them down to the water and I will separate them from you there. If I tell you a man shall go with you, he will go. If I tell you a man shall not go with you, he will not go. Gideon took the men down to the water, and the Lord told them, separate everyone who laps up the water with his tongue like a dog, from anyone who gets down on his knees to drink. There were 300 men who scooped up water in their hands and lapped it. All the others got down on their knees to drink. The Lord said to Gideon, I will rescue you and give you victory over the Midianites with the 300 men who lapped the water. Tell everyone else to go home. So Gideon sent all the Israelites home except the 300 who kept all the supplies and trumpets. The Midianite camp was below them in the valley. Verse 9, that night the Lord commanded Gideon, get up and attack the camp. I am giving you victory over it. But if you are afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant Purah. You will hear what they are saying, and then you will have the courage to attack. So Gideon and his servant Purah went down to the edge of the enemy camp. The Midianites, the Amalekites, and the desert tribesmen were spread out in the valley like a swarm of locusts. And they had as many camels as there are grains of sand on the seashore. So the enemy is a lot of them. And there's only 300 of Gideon's people. When Gideon arrived, he heard a man telling a friend about a dream. He was saying, I dreamed that a loaf of barley bread rolled into our camp and hit a tent. The tent collapsed and lay flat on the ground. His friend replied, it's the sword of the Israelites, Gideon, son of Joash. It can't mean anything else. God has given him victory over Midian and our whole army. Verse 15, when Gideon heard about the man's dream and what it meant, he fell to his knees and worshipped the Lord. Then he went back to the Israelites' camp and said, get up. The Lord has given you victory over the Midianite army. He divided his 300 men into 3 groups and gave each man a trumpet. Then, and a jar with a torch inside. So Gideon gave him a trumpet and a jar with a torch inside. Verse 17, he told them, when I get to the edge of the camp, watch me and do what I do. When my group and I blow our trumpets, then you blow yours all around the camp and shout for the Lord and for Gideon. Gideon and his 100 men came to the edge of the camp a while before midnight, just after the guard had been changed. Then they blew the trumpet and broke the jars that were holding, and the other 2 groups did the same. They all held the torches in their left hands, the trumpets in their right, and shouted, a sword for the Lord and for Gideon. Every man stood in his place around the camp, and the whole enemy army ran away yelling. Wow. While Gideon's men were blowing their trumpets, the Lord made the enemy troops attack each other with their swords. They ran toward Zarephath as far as Beth Shida, as far as the town of Ebel Mehalat near Tabath. Then men from the tribes of Naphtali and Asher and both parts of Manasseh were called out, and they pursued the Midianites. Gideon sent messengers through all the hill country of Ephraim to say, come down and fight the Midianites. Hold the Jordan River and the streams as far as Beth Barah to keep the Midianites from crossing them. the men of Ephraim were called together, and they held the Jordan River and the streams as far as Beth-barah. They captured the two Midianite chiefs, Erob and Zeb. They killed Erob at Erob-Rath and Zeb at the winepress of Zeb. They continued to pursue the Midianites and brought the heads of Erob and Zeb to Gideon, who was now east of the Jordan. So what do we see here? We see Gideon was called by God to lead the people, but he was afraid. But God kept telling him, go. You need to go. I will give you the victory over the Midianites. So once they went down and they heard the dream of the man, they got courageous. And they said, God has surely given these people in our hand. Let's go attack them. So they attacked the Midianites, and God gave them